Hey everybody, this is Allie Edwards, and in today's video I am going to show you how I documented a recent day in my life for our community documenting day that many of us did together on October 17th. This was a Friday. The lens that I used for this particular storytelling adventure was simply the idea of what did I notice and the concept of noticing. I knew from the kit that I was working with here that I was going to want to identify 8 specific things that I noticed over the course of the day. So that definitely helped guide and lead my storytelling for this particular day in the life. I've done this project in a lot of different ways over the years. Sometimes it's been super detailed and other times it's been a little bit more broad. This time I feel like it's a little bit more broad, but it also was very fitting for the kind of day that I had on this particular Friday. So I printed out my photos. They're 2.5 inches wide by 2 inches tall, and I'm going to be adhering them directly onto the journal cards. I'm going ahead and just punching out the chipboard pieces from the Day in the Life kit to get those ready as well. I am now going to adhere my photos onto the actual journal cards. So for me this year, I am going to be adding my storytelling into my 10 by 8 album. I've been doing a 10 by 8 album for 2025. I actually have 3 of them for this year. So each one holds about 4 months in it. So this will go in my October section of that album. I've really been enjoying playing in that size this year, and it's given me a lot of opportunities to do some fun interactive things and just tell the kind of stories that I feel like telling in this season of my life. So I'm going to be using 2 10 by 8 page protectors. They're actually a little bit smaller than that. These are the 3 by 4 pocket pages that we have set up for our 10 by 8 album. It's a little bit shorter than the normal 10 by 8 pocket page protectors, but they work just great for including at least 6 3 by 4 pages. So included in the kit this time we had a transparency, we had a prompt paper page, and then we had a pattern paper page. I went ahead and took that transparency and I actually cut up one of those page protectors so that I would be able to stitch 2 pockets along the outside edge of the transparency, and you'll see that again in a little bit. That enabled me to have essentially 4 pockets plus the other 6 that I knew that I wanted to use for the other pieces of my storytelling. Now, as I was thinking about what I might want to do for this and how I was going to get in my words and where were other things going to go, I started thinking about the idea of having some circles that will live outside of the page protector, and I'm looking specifically at the circles from the pattern paper. So in addition to those circles that I'm going to be punching out, I'm also using one of the stamps on the 3 by 4 stamp set that we offered for this project. This one is a circle that says in this season. I did this times 8, knowing that I want to incorporate those into these little hanging tags that I'm going to make. Next up, I'm using a 2 by 2 circle punch to punch out the circles from the pattern paper. This is one of those pattern papers that when I was putting it together, I intended that it would be likely that I would punch these out. In terms of designing pattern papers like this, I like to do this kind of a pattern paper because it ends up giving us more embellishments to play with, as long as being an opportunity to just play with that pattern paper where you could turn those circles into flip ups or punch some of them out and not punch other ones out. Lots of things that could be done, but I'm going to go ahead and punch all of them out, including the little partial circles along the bottom and the top. Those are great for adding on to a 3 by 4 journal card or a 3 by 4 photo. I'm not going to use them in this particular round of documenting, but they are great for basic everyday life storytelling and the kind that I like to normally do anyway. So I'm punching all those out, making myself a little pile over there that I can return to, and getting those all set up. During the day itself, I did handwrite some journaling on that prompt-based paper, and initially thought that I would probably use that, but I decided not to, and that was fine for me. I used it essentially as a place to just write down some of my ideas but in terms of documenting, I'm going in a different direction. Okay, so next what I did is I took all of those circles that I punched out and I put them next to or on top of the journal cards that had the same color. So each of the colors are represented. I am pairing each of those quote-based circles with the little vellum circles that I did, and then I am using We Are Memory Keepers hole punch to punch the hole in between both the vellum and those 2-inch circles. You can also see that I started to do the stamping, which is the next phase in putting this project together for me, which is where I'm using another stamp from the stamp set, which says Today I Noticed. So that's going to be where I am going to be able to write my journaling directly on top of there, specifically referencing what I noticed and why I took a picture of it. This is not, heart surgery sort of journaling, but it all adds up. I was thinking about that a lot as I was putting this one together and thinking about all of the different ways that I have done this project over the years. I've done it in mini books, and I've done it in Project Life, and I've done it in little 4x6 albums. I've done it in a wide variety. 3x8 albums, we did that for a while. I've done it in lots of different ways. And this time I really just wanted to be able to not only capture some pieces of my day, but also have fun actually putting the project together and getting a little bit playful with it. So what I'm doing next is I have some little metal jump rings. These are little jump rings from Tim Holtz. And then I have a little bit of twine there. I link you to the twine in the supply list because I bought a package of twine that includes a variety of different colors, and it's been really helpful. I love reaching for that when I am looking for twine or something to tie things together. So we'll come back to that in a minute. I'm using one of the Kelly Creates fine liner pens that we have in the shop. We have these available to add to your December daily box if you're watching this in real time, and our December daily box is still open. They will be moved into the regular category in the shop. That's the .01 pen from that pen set, which comes from American Crafts as well. Okay, here you can see I'm using the little jump ring and going to push that back together, and then I'm going to go back in and add my journaling on the rest of these. So really simple, just saying, today I noticed is the prompt, and then responding to what did I notice, what did I notice and why did I take a picture? And mine are really simple things, like there's a picture of a dahlia. There was a picture of the ceiling fan that I looked up at in the morning when I woke up, and then when I fed the dog, and then when I came back to bed, and then when I took a nap later, I saw it again as well. So the ceiling fan, a couple different flowers. I captured my reflection in the toaster. That was kind of fun. I took a picture of a book that I'm reading because I am back to reading again, and I feel really joyful about that. There's a picture with one of our cats, our orange cat Ernie. Some of you guys might know that we lost one of our orange cats last week, and so that was I think it was last week, maybe 2 weeks ago. Now that was really sad. So, including the other orange cat, I have a picture of myself doing some work, and then a picture of my bedside table on a day when I happened to paint in my bed. So these were little pieces of my particular day, little pieces of things that I noticed that are relevant to me in my particular season of life. So again, using the little jump rings, adding those on top, excuse me. And then, like I said, I will be finishing up the journaling on the rest of these. All right, once I got the journaling all done, this is when I started trying to figure out, okay, how am I actually going to hang these from the tags? And I thought about a variety of different things, including I punched out the little O in the center of the journal cards. And I think if I wasn't slipping the actual journal card itself or the 3x4 cards into the page protector, if I would have been working outside of the page protector with the cards, I think that would have been a fun place to attach my little hang tags from there. In this case, I ended up just punching them all because I thought it looked fun and it was just something a little bit different. But as you will see, the way that I'm going to end up attaching these little hang tags to the outside is by tying the twine and then using one of the word phrase stickers to hold it down on the outside of the page protector and then also stapling it it in place. But I did try a couple things first just to kind of see how it would work. I also tried something that I didn't keep on here in the recording, but I did also try putting some bigger ribbon through that small little hole, and that also looked pretty fun. But the main thing that I was trying to get myself to focus on was just how am I going to have these circles kind of lay in the place that I want them to lay outside of the page protector, and going through this particular little hole just didn't work in the same way that I kind of wanted it to. So pivoting again, which is just, this is my life in with grafting, is there's always pivoting. So now I'm working directly on the outside of the page protector. I'm laying down my little hanging element, and then I'm using the word phrase stickers to actually adhere it in place. And then I will come back in and staple it with the tiny attacher. And so that will give me a little more confidence that it will stay in place, especially when it's outside of the page protector. I really do like the idea, though, of using the word phrase stickers to hold that in place. It's a little bit of a different way of using that compared to some of the other ways that I've used those in the past. So here we can see those steps again. So I'm just simply tying a knot in on the jump ring, and then pretty much laying the string in between the O or the 0 and then the number, and then picking one of the word phrase stickers and then laying that on top. So I end up picking some that were long, some that were short. I did a mixture of them, and then you can see where I'm going to bring the tiny attacher in and just staple those in place. And then there, I'm going to take care of that one. Awesome. And then I'm going to repeat those same steps for all the rest of these hanging tags to get them in place. I think I'm going to show you this one as well. I think this one, since it's on the back of the page protector, I need to double check and see if I actually ended up stapling it. I might have just used the sticker and picked a longer sticker so that it would have a little bit more adhesive to, oh no, it's a short one. We'll see what happens with that one. Some of this is, as you guys know, trial and error too. But yeah, that's how. So I'm going to make a title card in a little bit that you will see here as well. All right, so picking out the different word phrase stickers, some of them were directly relevant to what was being shown or what I noticed, and other ones were just more random documenting today sort of thing. But I love how these hang tags, I love that they're outside the page protector. I love that it utilizes the quotes. I love the repetition of color. I really like that I added in those little vellum elements. I considered also grabbing some of the other chipboard pieces and hanging them in along with these circle tags, but I decided against that, and I think that was a fine choice, partly because I didn't want it to get too bulky, and it's actually, these ones didn't turn out bulky at all, and I really like how it looks. I think it's a fun way to play around with that. So for the title little section there, I have one 3x4 spot available. What I'm doing now is I'm cutting up a transparent piece, so just a piece of transparency, and I'm going to take 4 of these chipboard circles, these messy chipboard circles, and I'm going to adhere them on top of this 3x4 plastic card here, and I'm going to run them through the sewing machine so that I'm adding a little bit more of that light blue stitching on top. It becomes a nice repeated element throughout this whole entire little spread here, because I used the same thread to stitch the photos onto the cards. Again, my sewing machine is one of my favorite tools. I use it all the time these days. And I use it as an adhesive, essentially. I like the added texture, but it's also very functional in terms of holding things together. And so I was able on my sewing machine to run the chipboard and the plastic right through with the needle that was already on there. So that seemed to work out just fine. I'm cutting off the edges. I liked having a couple of them interact with the edges, and then you can see a little bit about where those ran through the sewing machine. So this is what the back looks like, and I considered a few different things for the back. I thought about, cutting out pattern paper that were the same shapes. I could have inked the back of these. I could have added other chipboard pieces on top. But as I was looking at this, I was like, you know what? What I really want to do is I just want some numbers on top. So then I thought about stamping some number stamps on top, and really what I was looking for was an opportunity to get the date on here. So I'm doing 10 for October, 17 for the 17th, and then 25 for the year. So 10, 17, 25 is what's going to go on here. I think it's fun. I actually kind of like having the raw craft or raw chipboard look on the back. It looks like it's supposed to be like that, I guess, like just that those were the kinds of circles and that was the color of the circles that popped up. I'm also going to take another stamp from the stamp set that's a tiny little one that will fit on that top circle. I'm using StazOn again to stamp because I'm stamping directly onto the transparency. I could have stamped onto that piece of chipboard before I stitched it on there, but I didn't know. I wouldn't have known exactly where I wanted that stamp to be. So that stamp said, I think, the story of this day is what that one said. All right, so here's a look at what this looks like. This 2-page opens up. The 1 is on the front side, the 2 is on the back side, and then the other 6 are behind those. And then I'm going to show you what that looks like. Here's my 10x8 album for the last quarter of the year. You can see these are dividers that I've been using for each month, and I have stitched 2x2 pocket pages along the outside edge. If you're in the Storyteller subscription or the Storyteller class, you have seen me work in this album a lot this year. This is where I've been doing my ongoing documenting. So now we're going to stick this right into my October section. Turned out super cute. Thanks for participating. Thanks for being here. And we will be doing this project again next year, and it will again be part of our Story Play release at the beginning of the year. All right, let me know if you guys have questions in the comments below.